So again, I've done some more edits to my Big Brother plan. I keep thinking that I've finished and that I don't need to change anymore. And then I don't know, songs keep coming up into my head, and I just think, oh, I need to add this and I need to add this. And I realize I left out actually quite a few important parts, like the part where the sacrifice is exposed. I guess I left it out because I didn't really know the time, or I still don't. I'm still just kind of making up an idea or a plan, but it doesn't actually have to matriculate in the way that I'm saying it. This is just me wanting to fantasize about a plan, and maybe you'll go for it. But yeah, I've added that, and I've also added a lot more questions because I had a list of questions, but not very many were specific about me. Why do you think Anna can't be Christ, or why do you think Anna can't be God, or just a list of extra questions that are going to be more personal to me. If why aren't I inspiring things, or why aren't songs about me? I could go a step further and ask questions like, if people have been doing things about me behind my back, how would I feel? But I'm not going to ask that question. That question needs to be held back until after like 3 years or whatever, because I need to. I want the people to believe that the angels are, or the female singers are on my side. As for the male ones, I don't really know like when their names should come. So I can't add that one to the plan because I don't know when that should be. But yeah, so I've just been kind of editing the list, and I've added a few more songs on there. The Radioactive song came into my head yesterday, and I was just like, I've got to add that because it's clearly an inspiration. And then I've watched loads of Christians. I hate watching it, but it's a reminder of what I've gone through for so many years. The number of people who make Christian YouTube videos where they just go on about the importance about finding Christ and stuff, and they always make out that they know who Christ is and that they can lead you to Christ and they can tell you the answers about how God feels, and it's just nonsense. I really, really, really want to like get my revenge on them. And the best way to do that is to say, hey, here I'm Christ, and yeah, what do you think of me? And then get them to make lots of preaching about me. If it's positive, then great. They have nothing to feel bad about, because at least now they can repent from worshiping Jesus, and they can actually repent and actually know who God is. But yeah, I got a feeling a lot of people reject me. It's true that I feel like I have made so much effort and attempt to get people to know and believe me. But a part of it's like there's a voice in my head just telling me to not bother. When they say they don't believe, if you tell people in England that you inspired the Bible, the majority of the response that I get is like, or I've had this response, someone saying, oh, I'm thinking about writing a book. Like literally nothing, no interest, that the fact that I think, oh, I've just said that I'm writing the Bible. Whereas if you say to people in America something like that, you'd probably get an outrage. What? That's blasphemy and stuff. Don't say that. And so yeah, the American audience is definitely the audience I'd much prefer. But it's true that I prefer the English way of doing Big Brother because it's more about focusing on the people and less about just turning it into a game show. I think the drama is heightened in America as well, but sometimes it feels fake. That's what I feel. I haven't really watched much, but I watched a couple of clips. I've noticed that it's been pulled back to August, but I'm not going to read into that because that could. I'm not going to read into it, but I'm going to just see what happens. I don't want to be getting my hopes up. I know that, but I feel like it's going to happen. It's more likely to happen this year than any other year, because it is actually on in England this year, and it hasn't been on for 5 years. But so we'll see what happens. I have been thinking also about marriage. That's been coming into my head a lot. There's so many people that have married because they think it's God's will and stuff, and it's just like, no, it's got nothing to do with God. If a priest has joined you together, that's got nothing to do with me. But there is something because I was thinking about marriage, and I was thinking, there's sex is supposed to like consummate the marriage, and you're supposed to get married and then consummate it, but to me, I would feel like joining, like properly, officially making the marriage proper, is when you actually have kids. You know, I feel like if you marry someone and want to get a divorce a year later, there should absolutely be nothing wrong with that. And I think maybe it should take a month or two, just in case in case the woman is pregnant. You know, because having a kid in a relationship is very different from not having a kid. You know, you have to, as soon as you have a child, you have to kind of put your children first, and think what's best for them. You know, sometimes couples are in such a bad relationship that it's not good for the kids to be in such a toxic relationship. Well, it's not good for the kids to be with parents who have a toxic relationship. So sometimes divorce is better. But yeah, that's how I would handle it. I would say if you get married, I was thinking originally a few years ago, I was thinking about doing like a mini marriage, where if you want to like have sex with someone without don't use a condom, you know, if you have a mini marriage, then it's kind of just saying that if you have kids, um, um, this is what will happen basically. I mean, there is an idea of a mini marriage, or it might just be better just to say, you know, just to say that you can get married, and if you want to get a divorce at any point, you know, you can do, whether you have a prenup or whatever, that will be decided at the terms when you first get married. But yeah, I think having it so that, you know, the marriage is only like strong when you have a child, together. And if the child is both the parents, you know, it's not if someone's cheated and gotten pregnant with someone else, but if someone has a child and that child belongs to both the parents, I feel like that should be a way of making that a divorce should be harder if you have a child, definitely. Because, you know, sometimes you want a different relationship because you get bored and you want something more fun. And well, if you've got children, you kind of have to stop having fun, and start putting them first and stuff. But yeah, that's what I would change. And yeah, I would definitely do that thing with the call center. I really want to know though how many people are on terms where they are being forced to pay child maintenance, or whether they're not, or paying child maintenance or not paying child maintenance. How many people are actually legally not allowed to see their children? You know, I think it is very wrong that so many people would be in this position, but the honest truth is that I don't know how many people. We're talking hundreds, are we talking thousands? I don't know how many people are officially not allowed to see their children because one parent, or the parent that has the child, is disagreeing and saying they're unsafe, and social workers can't like prove or disprove it. And you know, I think in all those cases, if someone, and also the courts, you know, if you wanted to get access to a child, you could be easily waiting 9 to 10 months just to get a court case. And when they do get a court case, it'll probably be like little baby steps, as in, you know, 1 hour in a one-to-one call center. You know, I feel like that's such an abusive system. I suppose it really does depend on someone's mental illness. I don't want to talk about my sister because I know that when I'm not around her, I might not fully understand the severity or the non-severity of her condition. But just talking about it in a whole general, you know, I feel like if someone is claiming that, you know, that someone is a danger and not allowed to see the child, you know, there should be an application form. It should be read like literally the next day or like within the week. And then the courts should it shouldn't just be like so long and played out, nine months of waiting. I mean, to think that you've lost 9 months of a child's life just because you're waiting for courts to, what are they doing? I don't understand. You know, it's not, I don't really necessarily think it has got to do with the courts. I think the social worker, that we definitely need social workers. But yeah, they need to do, social workers need to be kind of on the ball and just get the, you know, this person is saying that someone's saying that this person's a danger. Let's do the assessment. You know, try them in a group session with 10 parents and 10 children, and see if that kind of care is enough. You know, if anything does go wrong, that if there's like video cameras, you know, you could use that as evidence. Oh, look, they're holding the baby, and oh, you could see that one of them was about to drop it. You know, if something like that happens, then you can use that as evidence that this person isn't okay in a sort of 10 parent 10 baby sort of session, and that they need more cancer. But the thing is, that's the thing. I believe in evidence, and you can't damn someone unless you have evidence that they can't do it. And I feel like it's the other way around. You know, you assumed you can't do it unless you have evidence you can. And I think not having any problems or not having any things that can, you know, if you have loads, if you have loads of sessions where you are with someone and nothing bad happens, that's actually evidence that you probably don't need that much attention. But at the same time, if you're doing it every 2 weeks and you have to have 10 of these sessions, and you've just lost months of a child's care when you could, and the experience, you know, being in a play center room where you can have like lots of different rooms and you can come for an hour, or you know, you might even be able, if you had some sort of thing set up like that, you might even be able to get parents to see this, get parents who are maybe a danger to their child, you know, get them to see them more often or more regularly, and they'll actually have experiences, you know, a trampoline session or a bouncy castle session, or um, uh, one of these activity climbing things. I don't really know what it is. Or they could even do like rock scrambling if it's an older child, or I don't know. There's some really fun activities. Even something like archery. I know you definitely need like instructors and stuff like this. But you know, in my world, if I was to have a world, I would actually base like churches. I'd scrap churches, definitely scrap churches, and turn the churches into activity centers, and you know, play centers, and group centers. Like even if you want to do like flower arranging or cooking or something like this, you know, get the community together, get them bonding, get them doing activities and learning things not from the Bible, but maybe if you wanted to do studies or something, you can, but do it studies of music or studies of philosophy, or just poetry or something. You know, there's so many different kind of classes that a church can go ahead, both with children or adults. And you know, if someone is deemed to be a slight risk, you know, social workers are important, but you first need to establish how much of a risk they are, and you know, don't go over the top with it is the answer. And unless of course there is real reason for it, in which case you need video cameras so you can actually be like, you know, this is evidence that this wasn't enough and that we needed more support, and we're going to get more support. And I know you can say if you drop a, you know, 2-week-old baby, it's going to be awful. So you know, you can't take too many risks when it comes to when they're very very young. But yeah, dropping an older child is probably, I suppose it depends on how old they are or something, or should you even be holding children for a longer, I don't know, when they get older it's safer and stuff. But yeah, that's just how I would change it.